Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast, where we explore the power of mindfulness, meditation, and personal transformation. I'm your host, Sana, and today I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Jeff Patterson, a seasoned practitioner with over 36 years of experience in the meditative and martial arts. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
So, listeners, before we proceed on to the discussion, I would like to share a bit about my guest with all of you. Jeff Patterson is the founder of the Yielding Warrior and Northwest Fighting Arts Portland Tai Chi Academy, and he has dedicated his life to teaching the transformative power of these practices. His unique approach, the yielding warrior method, goes beyond traditional meditation techniques, helping individuals build a personalized, evolving program that fits seamlessly into their daily lives. And on today's episode, we'll be diving into how to craft your own meditation practice and, more importantly, the mindset needed to make it a long lasting success. So, Jeff, welcome again to the show, and it's an absolute honor to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
So, Jeff, you've been practicing and teaching meditative arts for over 3 decades, 36 years. Could you share a bit about your personal journey and how it led to the creation of the Yielding Warrior method?
Yes, I got turned on to the meditative arts in a bit of a roundabout way. And, when I first started doing the practice, I had no desire to meditate or do these practices. I was about 19 years old and I was very much into Western boxing. And I used to go to a boxing gym that was just a few blocks down the street here from my academy in Portland. And at a boxing gym, usually the way that it works is they'll have a handful of coaches in there, and each one of those coaches will work with a few different fighters. So it's not like a traditional fitness class where everybody comes in and everybody works with the same coach. So there was one coach there that had created national and world champion level fighters, and I really wanted him to get to notice me and spend some time with me. And so I would always show up at the gym when I knew he was going to be there and, work really hard to try to get him to notice me and let him know that I wanted to train with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after I followed him around for about 3 or 4 months, he finally started giving me some tips and helping me out with my boxing. And it was only about maybe 2 or 3 weeks of getting to work with him. And he said something to me that changed my life forever. In that he said, if you really want to be a good boxer, you should start doing meditation and Tai Chi. Now, at the time, I was this young kid thinking, isn't Tai Chi for like old people in the park? How is that going to help me be a better fighter? And I had a lot of respect for him, though, and I knew he was trying to help me. And so I decided to go down that path. And not only has it changed my life in many, many ways, but through the years, I've had over 26,000 students come through my academy, and I've heard literally hundreds of stories of how the meditative arts has positively influenced people's lives. And that's kind of what has helped make me so passionate about the practice, and the reason why I created my last couple books and why I created my online program and why I'm just trying to get the message out there.
Hmm. Wow, that's really life changing, Jeff. And you emphasize building a personalized meditation program. So, what are some of the key elements someone should consider when starting to create a meditation practice tailored to their own needs?
So, with the meditative arts, I break it down into 5 categories.
Mhm,
You have the athletic or the combative side of the practice that helps improve your physical performance and timing and rhythm and all these things. There's the therapeutic side of the practice, the medical side of the practice, the philosophical side, and then lastly, the meditative or spiritual side. And, people that are drawn to the meditative arts come from all of those directions. And so as you start to build a practice around your lifestyle, you might integrate practices that are different, say, than somebody else who's following more of the athletic path or the practices that will help them in this area. Some of the practices will definitely cross over, and the basic fundamental principles will be the same in all of them,
mhm,
but it's good to have this general understanding so it'll help you find a more direct path to help you accomplish whatever it is you're looking to do. Once you have done this, then it's good to understand that the meditative arts is meant to be a way of life. It's not meant to be a hobby that we do once in a while. And
mhm,
so I break down the three main pillars of practice into ritual practices, active practices, and philosophical practices. Ritual practices are when we set a little bit of time aside every day and we do our sitting practice or a standing meditation or a movement practice like Tai Chi or Qigong, depending on whatever that is for us.
mhm,
And then active practices are things that we can integrate into the day to help keep us in that mindset and improve our awareness in everything we do. And the great thing about these is they can be done as little as 60 seconds. They can
mhm,
be done when you're doing other things like walking down the street or standing in line at the grocery store. And
mhm,
the more that we can incorporate these into our day-to-day activities,
mhm,
the deeper we get into a practice, and that's when our ritual practices really start to blossom and see a lot of the benefits from our time invested. And then lastly, we have the ritual side or the philosophical side of the practice, which is different things that you can do on both an active base and a ritual base. And so we'll integrate these philosophical trainings into our day and into our ritual practices. And once you have those basic pillars, then we can start focusing on building our practice and setting the foundation and looking towards kind of where we want to go with our training.
hmm. That's interesting. And the concept of yielding is central to your method. Can you explain what it means in the context of both martial arts and meditation, and how it helps people deal with stress, anxiety, or maybe life challenges?
Yes. So yielding is a very interesting concept, and it's one that I've been inspired by for many years, and which is why I wrote my last book, The Yielding Warrior,
Mhm,
in that there are so many applications to the concept of yielding that you can use it in almost anything. And I've broken down yielding into 3 main categories. We have physical yielding, mental yielding, and emotional yielding. Physical yielding is the idea that I push you, you push me, whoever's the bigger, stronger person with the most leverage
mhm,
eventually is going to push the other person over. But with yielding, instead of us trying to see who the bigger meathead is, when you push me, I get out of the way of that force. And now I can respond with less effort. So I'm not trying to butt heads with you and see if I'm bigger and stronger than you. I'm being more strategic about how I apply my energy. And it's obvious how this can be beneficial in athletics or the combat sports because so many times in athletics, we come up against other athletes that are bigger and stronger than us, and there's no way we're going to overpower them. So we have to have some kind of a strategy to learn how to deal with that force to get the desired outcome. Now, this has been used in the martial arts for generations, and
Mhm.
it's really deep practice, and it takes a lifetime worth of practice and effort to really get to a high level of this. But from day one, when we start integrating these meditative practices into our life, we
Mhm.
start to develop a higher sense of awareness in our physical, mental, and emotional states inside of ourselves, which allows us not only to see things more clearly in how we are, but it also allows us to see things more clearly in other people. And this is where it becomes very interesting in
Mhm.
how, and now we're kind of getting to where we move into the what I call mental yielding. And mental yielding basically is the idea that, say we're chatting and I say something that unsettles you,
Uh-huh.
and I pick up on that right from that first sign of imbalance in the conversation.
Mhm.
It's a lot easier at this point to adjust the conversation and keep us on a harmonious path than if I'm not paying attention to that. And pretty soon I'm so far off track, you want to slap me upside the head. And so learning how to use yielding in all of our interactions is extremely powerful. One, you're being more considerate, which is something that we could all do more of. And
Mhm.
two, it allows you to be strategic and guide your conversations to a positive outcome with the least amount of resistance. And this is beneficial in our relationships, in business, in sales, and negotiations. I mean, there's so many different ways and angles that we can apply this concept in our interactions. And then the last stage of yielding is what I call emotional yielding.
Mhm.
And emotional yielding is very much like mental yielding,
Yeah.
but it's with your own interpersonal conflicts. So you
Mhm.
think about sometimes things will happen to us and we'll respond and we'll
Mhm.
go down this path and we might get an hour, a day, a week down that road and realize maybe that wasn't the best choice. But with yielding and our heightened awareness through adapting these meditation practices into our life, we're able to kind of step back and really be present in the moment and
Mhm.
analyze possible scenarios and oftentimes choose a path that can save us a lot of heartache on the other side. And so this idea of yielding can help us in multiple different angles. And I've been explaining this to people for years. I've been running my academy now for 30 years.
Mhm.
And one of the most common things I'll hear people say is, yielding makes a lot of sense. In fact, I use that all the time. And
Mhm.
while I would agree in that I think everybody uses some degree of yielding in their life all the time, some more than others,
Mhm.
the idea is, though, think of if I was to go to a crime scene with a detective who's been on the job for 30 years,
Huh?
he would see things about the series of events and the timeline that
Yeah.
I would have no clue of what's going on.
Yeah.
And the meditative arts helps us see things inside of ourselves and inside other people that I truly believe most people will go through their entire life and never have any clue of these subtle energies and interactions because they don't have this kind of practice in their life.
Mm. That's interesting. And many people struggle with maintaining a meditation routine. So, what mindset shifts do you recommend for making meditation as a sustainable, lifelong practice?
As a teacher, that has been one of my biggest challenges is getting people to stick with the practice so they can reap the benefits of it. And
Uh,
one of the things that I think has been most helpful with that is anytime somebody comes into the practice, I always tell them right from the beginning that you want to adopt a daily ritual practice, even if it's only 20 minutes, but something that you do every day and be consistent with that. Integrate some active practices into your day and be consistent with this. And if you can do that and you stick with that, and as I mentioned, I've had thousands of students come in, and
Mm-hmm.
of those students, the ones that follow this and they say they do that every day for a year,
Mm-hmm.
they'll see so many benefits from the practice that I bet 95 to 98% of them will do the meditation for the rest of their life because they'll see so many great things that are happening from the practice. Now, in order to get that higher success rate for somebody new coming in, what I always recommend is before you even take on the practice, think about why you're drawn to the practice, what reasons you want to take on the practice, and why it's important to you, and really spend some time putting some thought down these different angles and paths because if we have reasons to do the practice, we're a lot more likely to stick with it. And for you, it could mean you want to stay healthier to watch your grandkids grow up, or maybe you're dealing with stress and anxiety and you want to use the practice to help you with your mental stability, or maybe you're an athlete and you want to improve your performance on the field. Whatever that is for you, really take some time and resonate with that and find some value in that meaning because everybody experiences this where tomorrow morning or next week or next month your alarm's going to go off and it's time for you to get up and meditate and you're going to say I'm tired today, I'll just hit the snooze button and I'll do it tomorrow. And if we don't have a strong why and strong reasons to do the practice,
Mm-hmm.
those times are going to keep putting roadblocks into our consistency. And so we really want to have that. And then the other thing that's important is that a lot of times people, when I talk to them about meditation,
Mm-hmm.
they look at it like it's a chore. It's something that they have to do. And while they might even understand that, oh, I feel great after I meditate, or it's been bringing me a lot of benefits, but they're still thinking about, oh, I have to do that today. And I think there's a mindset shift that needs to happen where rather than looking at it as something you have to do, you want to look at it as something that you get to do and realize how lucky you are to be able to have this knowledge and these practices that can change your life and your physical, mental, and emotional well-being at any time you want it to. And that's a pretty special, incredible thing to have in our lives. And so if we look at it from this perspective, now it stops becoming this chore that you have to do, and it's something that we look forward to. And that's where we really start being able to integrate the meditative arts into everything we do and really starting to see the true benefit of the practice.
Mm. That's really useful. And you also, this is very interesting. Your work integrates martial arts with meditation. So, how do these disciplines complement each other? And what can non martial artists learn from this combination?
So the meditative arts helps any physical endeavor that you may do, whether you're playing basketball, football, martial arts, it doesn't matter. And today people are coming aware of this, and you'll see more and more professional athletes these days turning to the meditative arts to help improve their awareness and improve their timing and improve their focus. And this is really an invaluable skill. And one of the reasons for this is that when we integrate meditation into our life, we start learning how to be aware of what I call the five regulations, or these foundational principles within meditation that helps and affects us in everything we do. And these regulations are regulating the body, regulating the breath, regulating the mind, regulating the energy, and regulating the spirit. Regulating the body, an example of that would be think about you're sitting down at your computer and you've been there for 3 hours and your shoulders are rounded forward and you're starting to feel really lethargic and maybe even getting a stiff neck and just feeling really depleted. And then another time, the most important person in your world walks into the room and your body perks up and your energy feels like, it's on top of the world and you feel better than you felt in a long time. Well, these two different energetic states are controlled a lot from how we are maintaining our alignment and our structure and our relaxation and our energy circulation in the body. And it's something that we can control all day, every day. And so the first stage when developing a meditation practice is learning how to regulate the body and being aware of this in everything we do all day, every day. The next regulation is regulating the breath. And regulating the breath is a very deep subject and something that, as a meditation practitioner, you will be studying for the rest of your life. In Qigong, they often refer to Qigong as the science of the breath. There's literally hundreds of different breathing strategies, and we can use these for more yin oriented methods or yang methods. Yin methods are often deeper, more holistic style meditations. An example of a yin breath would be if you ever listen to somebody sleep, their natural breathing pattern is a longer inhale and a shorter exhale. And this is the body's natural way to bring your conscious mind into your subconscious mind, which is where we are when we're sleeping and dreaming. And so if you want to emulate this style of breathing, we can lengthen the inhales, soft retentions at the end of the inhale to help bring that energy inward, which is very good for stress reduction, dealing with anxiety, for improving focus. There's a lot of different ways that we can use this. And then there's more of the yang side of the practice or breath, where it's very energizing. It's an example would be, if you ever had to push your car, you pick up something heavy, your natural instinct is to use the exhale and put tension in the breath, maybe even make it audible. And this helps generate that power and expanding energy, which is very effective for, you'll see a lot of athletes doing chanting or using their voice to get pumped up before an event. So we can use these yang practices to help send that energy outward. And when we start understanding the breath and learning how to use it as a strategy, now we can adjust our physical, mental, and emotional outcomes just by adjusting our breath. We all go through the day with emotional ups and downs. Some people are like a roller coaster, others maybe a little more balanced. But when you start recognizing these imbalances and you start feeling excited, we can use the yin breath to help bring it back down. And when you start feeling depleted, we can use the yang breath to bring you back up. And now you can move through the day with a little bit more consistency and balance. And this is great for helping us stay centered and focused in everything we do. The the next regulation is regulating the mind. And regulating the mind is interesting and something that, again, is a lifelong practice, just like the breath, in that, a lot of times people, when they think about meditation, they think, I can't meditate. I've tried it before and I just can't quiet my mind. And somewhere along the way, people got this idea that in order to meditate, you have to quiet your mind and be in this blissful state and nothing affects you. And, I've spent the last 36 years of my life studying these arts, and I've traveled around the world many times and trained with some really amazing meditation practitioners.
Mhm.
And I have never once met anybody who doesn't get distracted. We all do. It's part of life and it's part of our meditation journey. And the idea is when you're meditating, if you get distracted, you recognize the distraction, you use the posture, you use the breath, you use the movement, if it's a movement practice, to help bring yourself back to focus. And every time you do this, you get a repetition of how to be in a distracted state and bring yourself back to a focused state. Now, if you do this 50 times in a 20-minute meditation,
Mhm.
you just got 50 repetitions on how to be out of that distracted place. And if you do that every day, every week, every month, every year, you start getting pretty in tune and pretty strong and pretty focused on how to deal with these distractions. Now, it doesn't matter what happens. You get stressed out, somebody says something to you, or you have a stressful day at work. It's easy to use these tools to help come back to focus. There is this story about this well-known samurai
Mhm.
who hears about this wise old man who lives up in the mountains in this village, and he decides he wants to go see him because he's had this burning question for years that he doesn't understand. And so he makes the journey to go see this master,
Mhm.
and he finally gets to him, and the master's sitting out on his front porch enjoying the morning. And he says, "Tell me, great master, what is the difference between heaven and hell?"
Mhm.
And the master says, "How dare you ask me that question? You are nothing but an ignorant samurai. You don't even have the right to be in front of me right now." And the samurai gets angry, starts pulling out a sword, and he's ready to kill the old man. And the old man says, "This is heaven." Or excuse me, this is hell. And the masters or the samurai, he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Please forgive me." And he looks at him again and he says, "This is heaven." And
Mhm.
how many times do we let ourselves get distracted by this hell that we're bringing on ourselves in our everyday life? And so
Yeah.
when we start learning how to regulate the mind, we are able to control these outcomes and stay in that balanced state that allows us to be more in that place of heaven, if you will, by being able to react from our center rather than react from these imbalances that we all face. Then the next regulation is regulating the energy. And regulating the energy is a very complex idea, and it's something that we could talk about for hours.
Mhm.
But if you've gotten yourself to a place where you are competent in regulating the body, regulating the breath, and regulating the mind, regulating the energy in the body is a fairly easy task. And lastly, is regulating the spirit.
Mhm.
And regulating the spirit is very profound. And it's the idea that, Qigong masters and meditation masters spend their whole life and journey
Mhm.
working towards that stage of enlightenment. And this is kind of like these 5 regulations are the foundation of any meditation practice. And when you start cultivating these, not only does it help with our meditation, but it helps in everything in life, whether you're doing athletics or martial arts or business, or you're working on your creativity or you're working on your health. All of these things will help us find that balance and get to a higher level of focus in all of these areas.
Wow, that was really, really comprehensive and very informative, Jeff. And also, finally, before we wrap up, can you share some practical tips for listeners who want to start implementing the yielding warrior method into their daily lives right away?
Yes. So, I think the most important thing when integrating meditation into your life is you want to, one, be in the right mindset, think about your why. Two, have the focus and the energy to stay consistent. And three, find a guide, somebody to help you. Because, I've been studying the meditative arts for 36 years, and I'm still as much a student as I've ever been. They're very deep. There's a lot of different practices. I've literally seen people come into the academy here that have been doing a meditation practice of some sort for 10, 15 years, and they've learning from watching this YouTube channel or watching this thing or listening to this audio, and they'll come in here and see a student who's only been here for 6 or 12 months, and they'll get a little bit discouraged and frustrated because here they've been working at this for 15 years and they're not even as far along as somebody who's been doing it for less than a year. And that's what a guide will help you do, and life is short, your time is valuable. Having somebody to help point you on the right path can really save you a lot of time and energy. And if you do those few things, stay consistent, really have a strong why, and find somebody to help point you in the right direction, meditation will be one of the best things you've ever done for yourself.
Definitely. And Jeff, if our listeners want to explore about the yielding warrior method and the wonderful coaching, the resources you are providing, how can they access that? How can they connect with you?
Right now, I'm offering a free copy of my book. If you go to theyieldingwarrior.com/book, you could order a free copy. You just have to pay for shipping and handling. If you don't want a physical copy of it, you can download a digital copy. It's a great way to kind of get your mind into this way of thinking and learn how to integrate some of these practices. And also at theyieldingwarrior.com, if you're interested in trying out our online program, which teaches you how to integrate these different meditative practices into an evolving life practice, you can check that out there as well.
Great. We'll mention all the details in the show notes for our listeners. And Jeff, it's been an absolute pleasure having you share your valuable insights and your journey and the expertise you have with all of us and your approach to meditation. It's truly, truly inspiring.
Thank you very much for having me.
And for those who are interested in learning more about Jeff's work, be sure to check out his latest book, The Yielding Warrior, and explore his online program at The Yielding Warrior. You can refer the show notes in the along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. And to everyone, remember to integrate these practices into your daily life. And as always, continue to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Until next time, this is Sana on the Mindful Living podcast. Thank you.